Hello, my name is Lori Harvey, and this is a tutorial of how to conduct a feminist analysis of Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. The Taming of the Shrew, Katharina, is an ever-disputed controversy. Many theorists argue that the infamous last speech made by Katharina at the end of the play is supportive of their claim that Katharina's husband Petruchio tames Katharina's wild ways and leaves her weakened and submissive, which echoes in her words and actions in the last several scenes. Furthermore, and for these reasons, the theorists continue to argue that Shakespeare is not a feminist, but is a product of the misogynistic and patriarchal society of the Renaissance era in which he lived. However, it can be argued that Shakespeare presents Katharina as a sharp and multifaceted character who is not tamed, but rather is a scheming woman who matures and keeps her identity to the very end, and thus proves that Shakespeare was a champion for women. And this is the angle I will demonstrate my analysis on for you. When viewing Shakespeare's works with a feminist eye, one must keep in mind the era in which Shakespeare wrote his plays. This is important with any piece of literature that is being analyzed. The Renaissance era was, for the most part, a male-run society despite the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. This fact is important when determining Shakespeare's feminist attitude, since punishment was inevitable if anyone attempted to circumvent the proclaimed order of the misogynistic realm, and even upon husbands who did not tame their wives. Shakespeare was keenly aware of this, and crafted his works, including The Taming of the Shrew, in such a way that spoke for women's predicaments, without bringing a hard gravel upon his pen, paper, or his theater. It is also important to look at the character one is basing his or her analysis on. One apparent fact is that Katharina is not the prime example of a Renaissance girl. She will say and do as she wishes, challenging the power of men. This personality does not sit well with the misogynistic society. Thusly, she is tormented and mistreated, often by men, and like fuel to a fire, Katharina's temper flares. Hence, Katharina has many nicknames such as Fiend of Hell and Katharina the Cursed. This temper is even seen when she interacts with her father. Playing the typical Renaissance father, Baptista antagonizes Katharina's temper and childish behavior. He tries to control her, tell her what to do, and openly shows his favoritism for his other daughter Bianca. In turn, the hurt and angry Katharina turns cursed, and she lashes out. In order to rid himself of her, Baptista tries to marry her off without Katharina's consent. When Katharina walks in to find her father begging the men in his court to marry her, and even offering a hefty dowry, she reacts heatedly to this. Thus, it is apparent what provokes Katharina's unfavorable behavior. Baptista treats her like an unwanted child, and bargains her off as a second-rate prize. In Katharina's eyes, she is nothing more than a piece of property that her father is even willing to pay people to take away. All these facets are important to flesh out and apply to the analysis, for they show Katharina as a rare individual for her time. She stands up to her aggressors and for herself. Now, Petruchio's entrance into Katharina's life is one that can be disputed as being for financial gain or as a game that will eventually win him a bet that he can tame the wild Katharina. Although Petruchio does not enter Katharina's life under good circumstances, his attempt at taming her is an important milestone for her. She encounters her ultimate match, which sharpens her intellect and matures her into a powerful woman. Upon their first meeting, Petruchio attempts to win Katharina over by complimenting different aspects of her. However, Katharina is not a naive woman. She knows that Petruchio is not there out of love for her, but for the money and the bet. Accordingly, Katharina proceeds to use her sharp tongue to run him off. However, she finds that he does not cower at her cursed behavior as the others have. Therefore, Katharina warns Petruchio to beware my sting. But Petruchio does not heed her caution, and instead states that it is his job to pluck it out. This statement reveals that Petruchio sees it as his duty to control Katharina's tongue. Katharina, however, snaps back once again and insultingly challenges Petruchio by stating, "If the fool could find it where it lies," which insinuates that he would never be able to control her tongue. The implication by Katharina that a man will not be able to silence her is significant for this analysis. One important and oftentimes overlooked detail is the linguistic side of an analysis. For instance, the entire time Petruchio is complimenting Katharina, he refuses to refer to her by her proper name and instead calls her Kate. The name Kate is in reference to the term cates, which is an emphatic form of acate. Acate comes from the Old French achat, meaning purchase. Thusly, by Petruchio referring to Katharina as Kate, he is essentially negating the compliments he gives Katharina by expressing to her that she is a piece of property. Then, by stating that he has her father's approval to marry her and to tame her until she is like other household Kates, he is enforcing his authority upon her and emphasizing his intention to tame her, which only succeeds in enraging Katharina more. She tells Petruchio she would rather see him hanged, and implies to her father that he has no right to call her his daughter. Looking further into the play, one sees that Caterina's attempts at coaxing a servant into helping her and being humble to Petruchio fail. Thus she reverts to her old ways and directs her temper at Petruchio, informing him that she is no child, and if he does not like the way she is or her shrewish mouth, then he needs to stop his ears, since she plans to tell the anger of her heart, even to the uttermost as she please in words, despite his wishes to make a puppet of her. By making this stand, Caterina reveals many things to the audience. First of all, she has matured. Second, she reveals that her spirit is still intact regardless of Petruchio's attempts to break it. Third, she takes a radical position with her tamer and asserts her feminist will. She states what she is not and what she will do, and leaves no room for Petruchio's misogynistic ways. Fourth, she shows that she intends to win the game. When Petruchio tells Caterina that they will be going to her sister's wedding, Caterina is excited, but does not hold her tongue when she exclaims at the lateness of their departure. Petruchio proclaims that they will never leave the home until she learns to look what I speak or do or think to do. Petruchio is again attempting to control Caterina's will and tongue. However, this time he threatens to not allow her to leave the house, which means she would not be able to attend her sister's wedding. For this reason alone, Caterina remains quiet and allows Petruchio to win this small quibble, stating, I vow it shall be so for me, no matter what you will have it named, and even that it is, and so it shall be so for Caterina. Many critics claim that this statement by Caterina is one of submission to Petruchio's will. Some claim that she is now tamed. However, an alternate theory can be argued. By analyzing the statement, one can argue that Caterina is merely stroking Petruchio's ego to further her agenda. Moreover, by Caterina stating, for Caterina, at the end of her statement, she is indicating that she is not cated. Petruchio has not tamed her into being a household Kate, as he so arrogantly stated he would. Caterina only states what Petruchio wants to hear, so that she may get what she wants. Ultimately, Caterina keeps her identity and learns how to manipulate Petruchio in order to gain what she needs. Caterina's revenge exacts itself in her infamous final speech. However, this final speech is the most debated of all scenes. Many theorists assert that Caterina has undergone the transformation of Caterina the Cursed into plain Kate. I argue, however, that Caterina maintains her shrewish ways, and she reveals this when she drags her sister and the widow into the room and retorts to the widow that she is still a shrew, but only to whom she wishes. This proves that Caterina still has her feisty spirit. Furthermore, it is apparent when taking a closer look at the speech that Caterina is applying emphasis on what a husband must do for a wife, while also emphasizing how much harder a husband's work is compared to a wife's. In so doing, Caterina's final speech can be seen as a performance, wherein she is just feigning obedience rather than speaking from a tamed spirit. Moreover, when looking further into Caterina's speech, it is evident that she is a cunning woman. In this speech, Caterina states a wife only needs to obey her husband's honest will. These words hold valuable meaning to Caterina's supposed taming, for they imply she will serve as a wife in a marriage of mutual love and servitude. Therefore, with keen wit, Caterina layers the words in her speech in a fashion that enables it to serve both her intentions, to reveal a tamed Caterina that mocks those around her, and to reveal an untamed Caterina to those clever enough to notice. Finally, when her beloved sister Bianca and the widow speak shrewishly and the men hang their heads in disgrace, Caterina is triumphant, for she gets her revenge. In The Taming of the Shrew, William Shakespeare portrays his feminist side by presenting Caterina as a complex, witty character who is able to retain her spirit despite the patriarchal society he lives in and the misogynistic treatments she endures. Shakespeare layers his play with thick irony and applies emphasis on the cruelties and bleakness of taming. By the end of the play, not only Caterina, but also the other female characters in the play make it apparent that men will not tame them. Therefore, the play may open its curtains with the title The Taming of the Shrew, but it closes them with the title The Untamed Shrew. Now, it is your turn to dissect a piece of Shakespeare's literature and argue your feministic view of him.